All right. Hello, 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 everyone. Good day to you. I hope that you have been having an incredible day. Thank you to those of you that are watching me right this second. And a special thank you to those of you that will be watching this program by way of the recording and the playback. Well, I am author Teresa Banks. You are watching Ellacec Publishing Live. And I am so glad that each and every one of you has taken the time out of your day, out of your life, really, to watch this particular show and to see what I have to say and hopefully to learn from it. Let me place a little banner here across the screen so that you can see what I am talking about in the event you are not aware of what I will be talking about. I'm going to be speaking today on publishing Q&A, publishing Q&A. Now, what I literally mean by that is to answer some questions that a lot of you have been asking me. I had asked by way of some past Ellacec Publishing Live shows that if you have something on your mind, something in regards to the publishing industry, let me know by going to the Ellacec Publishing website, using that contact us form and filling it out. You will hear some of those responses today. And then also, those of you that have been in classes of mine, there are some specific questions that tend to be pretty routine when I am teaching those classes. And so, needless to say, I want to make sure that I get the answers to those questions out to you on this day. I have 15 questions that I'm going to be putting here across the screen, and then I am going to answer those questions. So I'm going to go straight. Those of you that have been watching this program know that somewhere in between or toward the end, I take a little short break for about 2 minutes. What I will do today is put the information about the Ellacec Publishing website and things that you can get off the website at the very end. And so, needless to say, just keep on watching all the way through. You will hear those questions and you will hear the responses. Now, before I jump all the way in, as I always do, I ask that you please, if you have not done so already, go ahead by way of the Ellacec Publishing Facebook page. Make sure you're sharing, and following the page. And on YouTube, Ellacec Publishing has its very own YouTube channel. I would appreciate it if you become a subscriber, if you spread the word and tell other people about the particular channel. I've been trying to help individuals to move from that writer stage to the author stage, and not hopefully have them go through a lot of the different things that I had to go through when I was trying to figure out, how does this publishing thing work? What do I do? How do I get my work out there? Let me go ahead with all of that said and jump into the questions. Again, there are 15 that I'm going to be talking about, and you'll see them displayed here, starting with the one that is coming up next. And with these questions, I hope that they do truly help you in the short run as well as the long run. Now, there are two on this particular slide. As I go slide by slide, sometimes you'll see one question, sometimes you'll see two. I might have three or four, but I'm going to get through each and every one, literally one at a time. Now, in this particular slide, there are two questions. Number one says, what should I write about? And question number two says, how do I write a book? And I think both of those questions are definitely important. I certainly don't want you looking like the individual that's on this screen, covering up his face as if to say, oh my goodness, it's overwhelming. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed whatsoever. When it comes to what to write about, it's really, truly up to you. There are a million and one things that you can write about. I've come across some individuals that want to tell their own personal story. Let's say it's something of triumph based on what they went through from their childhood or some particular point when they were an adult. You can certainly write your own story and then let that story be like a legacy that you leave behind long after you have passed. Some other individuals have learned certain things and they want to get that information out that they have learned by way of a manuscript and then a published book. You can certainly write an entire book about a number of different things that you've learned. So really think about something that is of interest to you or something that you feel you don't mind doing some research on and then preparing a manuscript on and putting it out there. and then turn it into a book and put it out there. With the second question that's listed here, how do you even write the book? First and foremost, you can start with either a spiral notebook, for example, a laptop, a desktop, whatever it is that you want to physically use to pull your thoughts together. I know some people in the past that would literally use post it notes, and as different ideas would pop up, especially let's say in the middle of the night, they would have an ink pen and a little post it note booklet right there on their bedside, and they would write different things. And so, whatever your method is, certainly use it to jot down different ideas and to jot down different things that you would want within your manuscript. But something to keep in mind that I think is extremely important when it comes to writing a book is to create an outline. When you have an outline, it will then serve as your guide and keep you on the straight and narrow in regards to actually writing that book and getting it out. If you're just kind of putting sentences out there and paragraphs out there, you could really be truly all over the place, and you don't want to be all over the place. So, just to kind of recap on question two, make sure you have something that you're writing in, whether it be a notebook, a spiral notebook, for example, post-it paper, tablet, whatever, and then use an outline to help you to pull those thoughts together based on the type of work that you want to do. It could be a play, might be a work of nonfiction or fiction, and go from there. And certainly, if I were to add another little tidbit, I would say research based on the type of genre that you're writing on to understand the structure in which you should be writing it. Let me move on to question number three. Let's see what that's all about. I have three questions listed on this particular slide that I will answer one by one. Question number three, should I use AI to help write my book? Question number four, can I use the names and pictures of real people? And then question number five, when should I copyright my book? You know, those of you that have watched this show know that I've had select input in regards to using AI. I'm one who doesn't feel that any of us should shy away from using AI, but use it in moderation as opposed to a wide range of possible uses. For example, I know some people that may use AI to write a few sentences and then a few paragraphs. Next thing you know, AI is the author because AI has written the entire manuscript. You can use AI to help to market your work, help promote your work. But I would suggest definitely it's okay to use AI, but to use it in moderation. With that question that's listed there as number four, yes, you can absolutely use the names of individuals, different pictures that you have of people, but make sure you get their approval. Please do not just go ahead and insert a person's name or various pictures that you have that have a number of different individuals that are within that picture. Make sure that you get the okay and the approval. Otherwise, with the names, you can always change the names to protect the innocent, as they say. And with pictures, if you own the pictures and they're yours, you can certainly use them. But I would definitely suggest that you please inform the individuals, if you have people in those pictures, of what those pictures are and how you intend on using them. With pictures, also go to the copyright.gov website. There are specific details, restrictions, and the way that you can use pictures. And again, certainly the names of people. Go to find out all of those different details to make sure that you'll be fine and you'll be in the right with the usage. With copywriting a book, I've had this question come up over and over and over again, and rightly so, because people obviously don't want their work to be stolen. That is a very real concern. Copywriting is a way to certainly protect your work. But again, the question was, well, when should you do it? I always tell writers to copyright your work right before you go to market. It's really inexpensive. Right before you're going to self-publish your work, or right before you're going to hand that work off to a traditional publishing house, or if they accept your manuscript and look to turn it into a book, work with them immediately and going ahead to establish that copyright protection on your work. And you can copyright protect it by going to the copyright.gov website, uploading a version of your manuscript, and then giving them whatever the current fee is and the current cost for payment. And then within usually a couple of weeks, it could take about 6 to 8 weeks, you will have an official document that indicates you are the owner of that copyright of that work. Let me keep pressing on here. I've already covered 5 of the 15 questions that I wanted to talk about today. You see 2 more that are listed here on the screen. Question number 6, should I use a proofreader? And then question number 7, should I hire an editor? When it comes to proofreading, I have had so many individuals, so many different writers that I've talked to say, oh, I'll hand my manuscript to my best friend, or oh, I'll hand it to a sibling, or oh, I'll hand it to this person, I'll hand it to that person, or I'll have a little group of people, maybe 5 or 6 people that are proofreading my work. If someone is proofreading your work, they should really be good. Like they should be one who reads all the time, and so they can spot certain things in your work that seem a little bit out of whack, or they should be a professional proofreader, or they should be individuals that you truly trust. Because if you're handing your work off to different people, someone could say, oh, this sounds like a great idea, and it's not published yet. Let me go ahead. Let me just go ahead and do it and put the work out. So make sure you trust the individual. Make sure you're not handing it off to too many people to do the proofreading. Also, you can get too many suggestions for too many changes to do, and that could turn out to be discouraging. So really be careful there. It's okay to use a proofreader, but use them where you really trust the person and they really have keen advice to offer. And hiring an editor, I've talked to a number of different writers, I mean, myself included, where oftentimes I'll just do my own editing. You can do your own editing. There are a lot of different tools that are out there to help you if you are looking to edit your own work. In fact, I believe it was the very last Ellacec Publishing live show I did. If it wasn't the very last one, it's in the mix. It is definitely in the mix. You can go to the Ellacec Publishing YouTube channel to locate a recording that is out there from an Ellacec Publishing Live that I did that was all about editing one's work and the different tools that are available, again, if you desire to edit your own work. So you can certainly take on that challenge if you want. Otherwise, yes, please hire an editor. There is nothing that will scream out that you may be an amateur writer than poor edited work. And you'll lose your readers. You want individuals to actually pick up your work, which is reflecting you, by the way. And you want that work to reflect you well. And therefore, it is extremely important that it's edited well. If you can't do it yourself, certainly hire someone that you trust that can, or someone that comes with great references. Moving right along here to my next question, question number 8. How do I self-publish a book? Oftentimes we may try to reach out to a traditional publishing house. They may or may not even entertain the review of our manuscript, let alone taking that manuscript on and going ahead and publishing it for us. And so we then may say, forget that. I am going to go ahead and self-publish. I've mentioned my friend Claude many episodes of Ellacec Publishing Live ago. And I said to all of you that Claude shared with me, why are you waiting on someone else to say that your manuscript is good and some traditional publishing house pick it up? Just publish it yourself. And he is the one who helped me to gain interest in self-publishing. If you're one who's looking to be an entrepreneur and to literally take control of the publication of your very own manuscript, then you can look into self-publishing. There are 3 different ways, really, that you can move from being a writer to a published author by way of self-publishing. I have one listed here as letter A, to print it yourself. There are so many different companies that you can go to in your neighborhood, and I never endorse different companies on Ellacec Publishing Live, but there are different companies that you can look into where they can print off a copy of your manuscript. Let's say if you have it, for example, typed up within Microsoft Word, they can print it for you and do whatever type of binding that you may desire. Like, let's say the plastic binding on the side, or you may want a paperback or an ebook even created, or you may want a hardcover. They can take care of that and they can do it. And so you can either print it yourself or you can have it published yourself. With B, the printing company method, that's a method I've always used. With all of the manuscripts that I have created, I've always used a printing company, and I will send my manuscript off to that printing company. They will take it, they'll proof it, I'll proof it a final time. Then once I give the go ahead, and they'll even help me with the cover as well, then they will go ahead and produce the number of copies of my manuscript that I have requested, either in black and white or in color, in paperback or hardcover. So a printing company is certainly a great way to do it. And a printing company, that's different from letter A, which is to print it yourself. Printing it yourself means that you've just taken it to some neighborhood place and they have printed it out for you. And usually it's a much smaller quantity. Like, let's say, for example, they'll print about 25 copies for you. But under letter B, a printing company, they can now print hundreds, if not thousands, of copies of your work. And therefore, by printing in that bigger quantity and that bigger size, you can usually get a great discount as well per book. And then with letter C, I had mentioned under A by accident, the ebook form of your book. That's really under the umbrella of letter C, print on demand company. That's where you can choose a company right off the internet. And by way of the internet, you can upload a version of your manuscript, make sure the cover is there as well. And then you would direct individuals to that site. And then individuals would go to the site and they would select the format in which they would want your work to be produced. Again, it could be ebook, it could be paperback, could be hardcover, and then they would receive it directly by way of whatever format that they've ordered. So certainly consider being a self-published author. The key thing there is being an entrepreneur, maintaining that control, having things exactly the way that you desire for your manuscript. And hey, there's nothing wrong with doing it. And a lot of times you can actually be paid more money if you are self-publishing as opposed to dealing with a traditional publishing house, waiting for that payment, getting some kind of advanced dollars, and then being paid by way of royalties. You can oftentimes be paid a whole lot quicker. And again, sometimes more money if you self-publish. But of course, it's a pretty big hustle, to self-publish. It's a lot of work. I don't want to have you be thinking that it's really easy to self-publish. It is a lot of work, but it's certainly something that's doable. Let me keep marching on here in regards to questions. I'm up now to number 9 out of 15 questions that I'm going to cover today. Number 9 says, what are the disadvantages of ebook publishing? And I have 2 that are listed here by way of letters A and B. A says your books aren't available for vending, and B says your book could be hacked. And those are definitely some things to take into consideration. Oftentimes, I will see writers go ahead and pick out some particular website where they're going to send their work, and they're not thinking about that digital copy really as deeply as they should of their work. They're not, I think, taking into consideration that when there's a time and a possibility to go off and do some vending, that they then won't have copies of their books unless they think to go ahead and order a few in advance. And oftentimes when you're dealing with some company off the internet, with you being the author, they'll give you a discount to order copies of your very own manuscript. But if you wanted like 10 or 20 copies of your book, they aren't just typically readily available when you're doing the ebook publishing. It's literally just that electronic copy of your book. So that's certainly something to keep in mind. And then the other item that I have listed here about being hacked, years ago, there were some people more famous than certainly I am that was talking about their work being hacked. And in fact, I myself had received PDF versions of some famous people that had their work out there by way of an ebook. And here I was, I had received the PDF, I had not paid for it or anything. And it was because their work had been hacked by way of whatever file it was stored in, by whatever company had placed it there. And so again, I can't stress enough that it's really important when you are using different platforms that you ask them, how do you protect these works? How are you protecting digital data? If someone orders from your website a copy of my manuscript in, let's say, ebook form, is it just going to them? Or once they receive it, will they be able to share it? Or are there some kind of rights that are cut off? And then if that individual legitimately buys it, how long can they have it? Can they just have it forever? Or is it limited to oh so many days, like 3 days, for example, and then poof, it's gone? So definitely do some research there. Don't assume that because you've uploaded a copy of your ebook to a particular company's website that they are protecting the data and that it cannot be hacked. Do some research and find out what type of protection mechanisms they have in place to protect your manuscript. With that said, let me keep marching on here with this Q&A on publishing today. 3 questions listed here that I've kind of lumped together. Question number 10, should I work with a literary agent? Number 11, what are the advantages of using a traditional publishing house? And number 12, should I consult a literary lawyer? Well, let me start here from the top. Based on this particular slide, you could consider certainly working with a literary agent. Now, you don't have to. As I mentioned in a past Ellacec Publishing Live, you yourself can go directly to traditional publishing houses that do not require a first look and a first review of a literary agent, and you can submit a manuscript to them yourself. However, in using a literary agent, oh my gosh, they have all this knowledge in regards to the publishing industry. A lot of them have connections to certain publishing houses. And then with them being that first look, that first individual, or one of the first anyway, you may have had a proofreader, but with them being one of the first individuals to take a look at your manuscript, they may spot some things to help make your work even better because they'll suggest different things for you to correct. So certainly they can be advantageous to helping you to get your foot in the door. And there's a possibility that you can then get a nicer check then for your work, because if they have given their stamp of approval, if you will, then that traditional publishing house may say, oh, okay, well, I really need to look at this. This work may be really good. So definitely take that into consideration. And if you're able, consider getting a literary agent. But something to keep in mind is that they're going to then get a slice of the pie, right, of funds that would have come to you by way of direct advance money or direct royalty money. Your literary agent is going to now get a chunk of that if you have a literary agent that's working alongside you with a traditional publishing house. With number 11 up there, some advantages of using a traditional publishing house. I had mentioned before, a couple of slides back, that you're in control. You're the entrepreneur when you are doing self-publishing. But some writers have told me they just want to write. They've said, we don't want to do all of this other stuff. We don't want to be bothered with creating a cover. We don't want to be bothered with trying to figure out how this work is going to be edited. We don't want to worry about the marketing. We don't want to worry about the promoting. We just want someone who's going to do all of that. We don't even want to juggle and deal with how advertisement is going to go, all of the funds that I can get in regards to the work. We don't want to deal with any of that. We want someone else to manage it all. And that is exactly what a traditional publishing house can do. They can manage all of those different things that I mentioned. But keep in mind, the competition is stiff. And then also keep in mind, they have certain times throughout the year that they publish work. It's not like every week on average. Sometimes it's a couple of times a year. And so let's say, for example, if they take your manuscript in today, it may actually not be published until the early part of next year, depending on what their publication schedule is. And so what does that mean in regards to money for you? That you're going to have to wait until your work is actually published next year. And that's why sometimes people will go ahead and self-publish. They'll say, forget that. My work is time sensitive based on some topic or a subject matter that I'm looking to cover. And so you may not want it to wait for that long. But for the other reasons that I mentioned, a traditional publishing house can certainly work to your advantage. With a literary lawyer, let's say you have a contract. Let's say you are fortunate enough to get a contract from a traditional publishing house. That would be a reason to have a literary lawyer take a look at that contract before you go ahead and sign it, just to look through to make sure that you're not signing away all of your rights. Generally, when you're signing that initial contract, it's okay to say, okay, just the first printing of my book will I sign away, and not future printings of that work or any type of film that may be created based on a manuscript that you pull together, or anything like gaming systems or whatever. You don't want to sign all of that away in the beginning. Why? Because let's say if it really blows up, right? You won't have anything to negotiate with. You'll still be back on that older contract that you signed and whatever that agreement was. And so you want to hold on to some nuggets. And that's what the literary lawyer can help you with. So certainly keep that in mind for sure. And then also, what if you have some type of dispute with someone in regards to the copywriting in general? And you have your documentation, but you still have to fight and argue and blah, blah. A literary lawyer can certainly help you in that realm as well. Now, let me keep moving on. Let me keep moving on and pressing ahead. I have question numbers 13, 14, and 15 to get through at this particular time. Question number 13 and 14. Number 13 says, if I self-publish, how much should I charge for my book? And then number 14, how much could I make as a published author? Out of the two, I would say question 14 is asked of me almost every time, every time I'm teaching, especially when I used to teach in person. Well, let me first start with a response with question number 13. When we're looking to set a price as a self-published writer, we should really do some comparisons with the type of work that we've created and the number of pages, and compare that with another author or another few books, not just one in particular, even within a bookstore, and see, well, what are those dollars? How much has the book been priced at? If I've written a book, for example, let's say it's 100 pages and it has a certain context within it, a certain subject matter that's being covered, and I feel it's worth $30, what I feel may not actually be in the long run what I get. The work really needs to be up to par. And of course, sometimes people can get way more if they have a certain number of years of experience, for example, on a given subject matter, certain expertise, or a lot of times we'll see celebrities, right? They can put a book out, they can just name their price. I saw a book last year, late part of last year, that someone had priced at $100 because their name was in the news, they were really popular, and they felt they could get $100 for their book. And I saw some people on social media that indicated that they had actually paid that price. And so sometimes, hey, if you're up there, you're popular, whatever, or you have a certain expertise or whatever, then you can get away with that for sure, and setting your book at a much higher price. But if you're one who just started out, let's say this is your first book, again, it's best to do that comparison that I mentioned, that comparison pricing, to see what a number of different books, again, at a particular subject matter, particular number of pages have been worth and are selling at, and then price your book around that price. How much can you make as an author? I wouldn't plan on retiring anytime soon. If you're looking to be a writer and then turn into a published author, oftentimes it's really just a few thousands of dollars that we may get as writers, especially as newer writers. Your advance may be just a couple of $1,000s, and then your royalties are certainly based on how many books are sold. And that is going to vary, of course, based on region, based on promotional activities that are being done on your behalf. So I would say on the high end, on average, maybe a couple of $1,000s with your advances and your royalties. And if you're lucky, hopefully you can get more. Or again, if you're working with a literary agent, hopefully they can assist you in getting more as well. One last question to go before I start to close things out and wrap things up. This last question, number 15, how can I market and promote my book? Oh my goodness. Right behind when and how do I copyright a book? This is the next question that I am asked most. One thing that you certainly need to do is really focus in on who your target audience is. Your target audience may be different from my target audience. And so really think about, am I writing for adults? Am I writing for children? Am I writing for a certain age group? Am I writing for a certain gender? Because when you really realize and focus in on who your target audience is, then you can start thinking a bit more on how to actually reach them. Word of mouth, I would say, is definitely a great way to reach individuals in order to have them purchase your book. Sometimes we writers may say, family can be the hardest to get because oftentimes they want a free copy of your completed manuscript. But still, check with family, check with friends, check with coworkers. If you are different in different organizations or if you volunteer for something, spread the word, ask others to spread the word because word of mouth is still a good way. Vending, going in person with copies of your book and selling them at different craft shows or at your local library or various libraries, that certainly helps as well. Social media, that is a big one. There are a lot of different groups that you can become a part of or that you can start yourself on social media. And by doing that, you can get the word out a lot faster to millions of people that you can reach at one time. And then a fellow writer gave me this tip in regards to selling work in bulk. And I think that is extremely important. I remember when I first started as a published writer, I was so excited. I'm sure a lot of you have been the same way. I was so excited to sell my first book, my second book, my first 5 or 6 books. And that was great, as we should be, right? We should all be excited anytime a reader has selected us as an author and selected our work and has felt, hey, this is beneficial. We'll go ahead and we will buy it. But what a particular writer shared with me is it's great if you can tap into a particular market where you can sell dozens of your books at a time or hundreds of or thousands of copies of your work at a time. And that certainly makes sense. If you have something that's, let's say, a children's work or something that's really educational, see if wherever you are, you can tap into certain markets for that target audience. Like, let's say the library system, or let's say the educational system. So certainly look at different organizations, different groups, maybe fraternities, sororities, again, your church group or whatever, groups of people. Think about groups of people that can purchase or would be interested in buying copies of your book and then look to go after that particular group. Now, before I close things out today, because as I mentioned during my very last Ellacec Publishing Live, I won't be doing any more of these Ellacec Publishing Live programs in the months ahead. I'm now going to change gears and get into teaching mode. I might bring the program back later, but for right now, I'm just going to concentrate on teaching. And so I want all of you to still look to learn more. I've told you about a number of different things over these past 12 months as I have been doing Ellacec Publishing Live, but you can also go to the ellacecpublishing.com website and you can pick up copies of all of my books. You're welcome to get all 5 of them. You see them listed here on the screen, but definitely get Becoming a Published Author. It is a comprehensive guide created just for you, and getting it off of the Ellacec Publishing website, you can now get an autographed copy. I will autograph it for you. And that work will step you through the entire publishing process. I've heard some writers say, I'm not getting any type of book. I'm just going to go out to YouTube. Like, look, Teresa, you said yourself, you put all these different things out there on YouTube. Yes. But then you have to watch hours, right? Across a number of days to get the information when you can pick up one book and it's all in there for you. All of the different things I mentioned across the program and more. Now, what you'll also see here on the screen is that there are two different classes that I teach. The one on publishing, becoming a published author, is 2 hours long, and the one that's on book marketing and promoting, it is 1 hour long. I would suggest you take both of those if you are a writer who is looking to become published. Again, they are comprehensive classes, just like with the book entitled Becoming a Published Author. And one thing that's great is that they are virtual. You can sit back at home, you can be in your pajamas if you want, and you can learn how to get your work published or how to market and how to promote your work. I will be teaching those. Those classes are live. And so if you have questions, you can just ask them right there. There's a chat. They're taught by way of Zoom. And again, you can be anywhere. You can be in New York. You can be in California. You can be in the great state of Illinois where I am. So definitely register for those classes. I would also appreciate it if you would spread the word and tell other individuals about the classes, and of course, other information they can get that I have composed from Ellacec Publishing Live that will be out on the YouTube channel. Now, although I won't be doing Ellacec Publishing Live, I will still be placing information out there on the YouTube channel. So please take a look at it. A lot of shorts type of information. So you'll get quick hit, a little snap in my finger. Did any of you grow up during the years where we would snap? You'll get quick hit publishing information, and then that will also be on the Ellacec Publishing Facebook page as well. If I can ever be of assistance to you, as I say every show all the time, and I mean this, people that know me will tell you I do what I say. I am a woman of my word. If you ever need my assistance, please don't hesitate to go to the ellacecpublishing.com website. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little tab that says Contact Us. Press it. Fill out the very short form to let me know specifically the information that you need help on in regards to publishing, and I will definitely reach out to you and assist. Now, in addition to the two classes that I mentioned on publishing and book marketing, I teach other classes as well. I teach a class on surviving a layoff. I teach a class in Zoom, and I teach a class in regards to PowerPoint. And so I'll have more of those placed out there from the Ellacec Publishing website that you can register to take as well. With that said, I thank you all again for tuning in over these past 12 months. Woo, time flies when you're having fun. And again, you never know when I may come back on here with Ellacec Publishing Live, but I'll definitely be looking forward over the next weeks and months ahead to teaching the classes, all 5 of the classes that I just mentioned. Until we chat again, everyone, keep writing. Know that your work is worthy of publication, and I am here in the event you need assistance. Take good care. Thank you again for tuning in. Ta-ta for now. Hello, everyone. This is author Teresa Banks, and I'm here to tell you that the Ellacec Publishing website has a lot to offer. You can purchase all 5 of my books, including my 3 works of nonfiction: Becoming a Published Author, I've Got a Testimony, and Surviving a Layoff. My 2 works of fiction are also available for sale from the website. Those include Parenthood and Woman of Integrity. There are 5 different classes that I teach online, and you can register to attend those classes by way of the website. Those virtual classes include Surviving a Layoff, Zoom, PowerPoint, book marketing and promoting, and Becoming a Published Author. You can purchase a video ad that will contain the content that you provide after you've made your purchase, and it'll be similar to the type of advertisement that you see by way of this particular video now. You can also buy jewelry that I've handcrafted myself, and you can purchase an I've Got a Testimony t-shirt. Go to the ellacecpublishing.com website today to make your purchase of any or all of the items that you see displayed here on the screen. You can also reach the website using the QR code located on the left-hand side of the screen. Thank you in advance for shopping at Ellacec Publishing.